Good morning. It's Monday, July 27th, and this is your daily tarot. The first card that we're looking at for today that was drawn is the Judgment card. And the Judgment card is a card that is a major arcana within the tarot system. Major arcanas speak to major lessons in our lives and situations that we don't necessarily get control over. And the Judgment card is associated with Shin or fire, the will of ourselves that gets born out of almost like a impetus or like a inspiration. You can see that the figures here are actually like coming out of enclosures. And so this card often speaks to awakening of sorts, coming to realize our true purpose and what we're actually here for in life. It's our inner calling, and brings about almost like a sense of reckoning, or as I said, an awakening. And it's when we begin to see things in a new way, and we can't go back from the way that we've seen things. And it is that, that impulse to act, right? That impulse for movement. The Judgment card is one of the three mother cards of that major arcana system. So there's a water association, an air association, and a fire association within those three mother cards, and the Judgment card is one of them. So it really does, bring up to mention the sense of like that fire, that awakening that comes from your heart and the inner core of your being. And it is a way of kind of surrendering to what we have come to realize, almost as like if you consider like the weathering of a stone, like a washing off of things that are no longer useful because of the clarity of how we see things. So it's a card that speaks to a fresh start in a new way, and a change, a big shift that is here and that is coming. The second card that we have for today is the Nine of Wands. The Nine of Wands is a person or figure that has learned from their past mistakes, right? Like there's 9 wands in this card, which is like, if you consider that wands are typically associated with, or traditionally rather, associated with will and a sense of willfulness and action and motivation. Having 9 wands is a lot of, like, having a lot of, sticks in the fire, so to speak, kind of being pulled at a lot of different directions, and really kind of getting beat up over it, right? Like when we consider, the way that we've lived our lives in the past, and possibly even how a lot of people continue to live their lives right now, it's this sense of like doing as much as possible. But what gets affected by that is, this figure here, it's like how people are over time. Like they feel beat up. They don't really feel like all of their actions have actually been maybe productive or like fruitful. And so it can beat us up emotionally and physically and mentally in a lot of ways. So this figure here is learning from past mistakes, right? They're looking back at these situations that they've had in life, and maybe like, checking in with themselves and seeing like, is it useful to continue to try to live that way, right? And this third card that we have for today is the Ace of Cups. And cups are associated with the emotions and relationships and the emotional body, the emotional center of ourselves. And, you know, having this ace here is like a extreme openness and vulnerability and but you know, not in a negative way. It's interesting because I think that in our culture in the United States, there's been a kind of a negative connotation to emotion, um, when in all reality we actually, you know, evolved to be mammals and to have a limbic system of the brain and to have emotions. Um, and you know, this cup is a symbol of the flowing of emotions, right? Like rather than fixating on them and trying to trap them and solidify them and define them, it's just a flowing. It's a sense of someone who is in their life, going about their life by what they feel, um, you know, is in their heart and in their being, and it also speaks to new beginnings because it's an ace. It's, you know, possibly new emotional connections. But this sense of openness, having an open heart, you know, being emotionally vulnerable, listening to your intuition, especially as we move about our days, you know, and that's the thing that I am, you know, wanting to point out that people discount is that our emotional center is like actually a really intelligent center of our being. It's how we know what's going on in the environment around us, like vibrationally. It's how we know, you know, what's going on with our family members. We get those inspirations and thoughts around people, and it might be a good time to reach out to those people. You know, and just being open with your experience. Right now, we're all kind of going through this awakening process, right? We're all starting to realize just how much we've lived in the dark in our lives, and possibly just in the last, you know, 4 or 5 months, most intensely for people. You know, and how can we learn from our past mistakes? How can we look back at what we have done and how we've lived our lives in the past, and begin to, you know, live and begin again in a new way, and be open with each other around us, because, you know, we're all going through this. We're all emotionally raw in a lot of ways, and you know, just being kind to one another, and that, and in of itself, I think can help us to reconnect and really start to rebuild our communities that have been kind of sheltered and isolated during these times. So that is the tarot reading for today, July 27th. If you would like your own in-depth personal reading, I do hour and sometimes half hour. If you really need a short reading, we can try to do that and just do a 3-card reading. But I do like to do the offer rather the 12-card readings, which allows us to look at different areas of your life more specifically, and it also gives us the time to look at what's going on astrologically and how that also affects your natal chart. So if you'd like more information on getting a personal reading with me, please just check out the area below so that we can schedule some time to do that. I hope you are well, and I wish you many blessings and a beautiful day.